Hi guys, it's Sam here from Train of Thought. I hope you're all keeping well. Today we're going to be talking through 7 top tips to help working from home or remote working be successful. Working from home for some of us is quite normal, but for other of us it's actually quite unusual. We're used to going to the office each day, we're used to sitting and spending time with our colleagues, we're used to that camaraderie and that atmosphere and that culture that the office has. And if we're working from home, we're working remotely, often that can be kind of pulled away from us. And what that often leads to is us feeling quite uncertain and unsure. If we're the person working from home or we're a more junior member of staff, we start to worry that perhaps people think we're not doing our job, that we're not working hard. So we'll do things like send a couple more emails than are necessary or stay at our computers a little later than we would, just to make sure that people feel like we're working hard. If we're a manager or we're in the office, we have this suspicion and this picture in our head of them on the sofa with their feet up watching some daytime TV whilst we do all the hard work. To be honest, neither of these things are really true. We're all just trying to get through. Most of us are just trying to do our job. We shouldn't assume just because a few people may take the mickey by taking a few too many breaks. We shouldn't assume that everyone is, and we should assume that even if people are taking breaks, ultimately they want to do the job well. But there are going to be 7 top tips I'm going to talk through today that hopefully will make your remote working more successful. Whether you're a senior leader in an organization or whether you're just working in a team, these are 7 things I think that will really help to make that work successful. So tip 1, focus on trust. The key to remote working and working from home is trust. When we don't trust people is when we start to suspect that they're taking the mickey. We start to suspect that they're taking liberties and we're going to be the ones that pick up the pieces. I heard recently of an organisation that tells people they have to have their webcams on for the entire time they're working from home. Now, what does that say to employees in an organisation? What does it say to them? It says that you are not trusted. I think you're trying to get one over on me. So in return, the employee, the person probably will start to look for opportunities to take some liberties. If you don't feel trust, why would you show the respect and dedication back? Trust is a choice. We have to understand that we have a choice here about whether we trust people or whether we don't. And I'm saying to you, you'll have a more successful time working remotely if you choose to trust people. Everyone will make mistakes. Everyone will have days where they're less productive, but that's true in the office too. Assume the best in people and they will usually give you the best back. We mirror behavior. Whatever you put out into the world is what you'll tend to get back. So tip 1 is make sure to trust your staff so that they feel empowered to work in a way that suits them in their environment. You don't know what else they've got going on, but if you believe in them, they will try and do the best job possible for you. Which takes us on to tip 2. Focus on what's important. As part of that worry about whether we're doing the right thing or whether we're being seen to be productive, often we try to lean into areas where we can be seen, that kind of busyness. So again, we mentioned earlier, being really responsive to emails, being on instant messengers really frequently. If you want to look more at how instant messengers, have a look at the video above. We have these dynamics where we try to show people that we're busy, we're active, we're working. I'm just going to say, try and put that to one side and focus on what's important. Go back into it and think about what is it that I really contribute to my organization. What is it that I offer? Is it my emotional intelligence? Is it my creative thinking? Is it my strategic thinking? Is it my ability to learn and teach others? That's what matters. Just because you're at home doesn't mean that that's any less important than it was. Lean into those things that are really valuable. If that means that you miss a few Slack messages, you miss a few emails to do something that really matters, so be it. Make sure to do the thing that's important. We have to lean into what's important because when we're at home, that can be harder to really keep front of mind. There's so many other things going on. We have more anxieties and stresses because we're working remotely. We need to focus on what's important. And that takes us on to tip number 3. Communicate well, not more. Again, because we're all in different places, it's our nature to try and lean in and just really communicate frequently with others. Now, I would argue it's far better to have one-to-one calls once a day with people, whether that's video calls, which is really great to be able to see the facial expressions, or even if we're doing voice calls where you can hear the tone of voice. It's better to communicate once a day than it is to spend all day on instant messengers. It's enormously distracting. It prevents people from getting the real work done, but also it robs us of the thing that we are striving for, which is social connection. It's really important to check in on people who are working remotely if you're working remotely too. Schedule in those one-to-one video call if you can, catch-ups, but also prevent yourself from spilling over in the whole day becoming one long instant messenger chain. A great way of doing that is to organise between your teams, perhaps a half hour, an hour slot in the morning and the afternoon where all of you will be online. And in that time, you can do all of your communication. You can fire things back and forth. You'll get immediate responses. But it's kind of limited to those periods of time, however many suit you and your team. It prevents you being sat there doing something thinking, oh God, has someone tried to get in touch with me? Should I go and peek on my on my emails? And I'll try and get back into the task. It's about quality of communication rather than frequency. All those little interactions we have in the office, they're not closer to an instant messenger conversation, they're closer to a phone call or a one-to-one over something like Skype or Zoom. Which takes us on to tip number 4, set boundaries. A lot of remote workers actually have really high stress levels because they work longer hours to try and prove to people that they were actually doing work. Be really clear on your working day, what time you'll get up, what time you'll be at your desk, what time you'll take your lunch, and what time you'll end, and stick with that routine. I work from home a lot, and it's easy for things to kind of bleed over. I'm really strict with my working hours, and sometimes even catch myself falling foul of it and having to remind myself that this is really about quality of work, not just doing longer hours. Particularly if we're all working remotely, if you're in a remote working team, make sure to set clear boundaries between work and life. And that also means for the way in which you work. It's really easy to think day one, this is great, I can work from my bed, I can work from my sofa. But when you come to the evening and you want to go to bed or you're just watching some TV, that sofa feels like work. Have delineations and barriers that prevent your work and life just merging into one. When I started to work from home pretty much full time, it was one of the things I found most challenging. But bringing in those measures has really helped me. It's really worth doing. Make sure to set really clear boundaries. Which takes us on to tip number 5. Plan your day mindfully. Again, because we're at home and we have other pressures, other stresses, you may have family, kids in the house. It's really easy to just end up doing a lot of what's called shallow work. This is the kind of work that's really logistical. It doesn't require much mental activity. We find it quite attractive because we can tick off to-do lists. We're kind of just burning through tasks. Instead, we need to find more depth and more quality of work. The way to do that is to bring mindfulness to your day. Account for all the minutes in your day, even if that's just in hour blocks of work, so that you know what you're going to be doing that day and you don't have to spend the whole day worrying, will I be doing this here? When am I going to fit that in? The way I do it is I follow something that a guy called Cal Newport recommended in his book Deep Work, which is I block out my day in hourly blocks on a piece of paper in the morning, and I block everything out in hour or half hour blocks. So if I'm writing a proposal, I'll 10 till 11, I'll block that out. If there's loads of bitty tasks we have to do, that real shallow work that's not worth having a whole block, then let's just put in a little block called a task block. It's just something where you can fit through all those little tasks. You can have a communication block, a catch-up block. But looking at your day, you'll have real purpose to your day and mindfulness. It's really worth doing when you're in the office as well, by the way. But with being at home, we can feel disjointed from our regular routine. Bring mindfulness to your day. It will help you to navigate some of the challenges of working from home. Which takes us onto the flip side, which is tip 6. Enjoy the benefits. Working from home is not all bad. There are some really good things too. You have your fridge just there, which is a really, really awesome thing. You have your belongings nearby. You don't have to commute. It's okay to enjoy those things. We don't have to punish ourselves. We don't have to, whip ourselves because we're having a good time as well. Enjoy the benefits. Take that lunch break you never really take. Have that delicious lunch you don't usually have. Have the extra tea breaks and bits and pieces. As long as you do your work, that's what's important. What a lot of us will find is actually that our days feel quite empty. Being in an office fills a lot of time, and not all of that is that useful to us. A lot of it is actually just kind of, looking like you're working or surfing the internet. You'll find some things are actually quicker working from home, and that's okay. Use the time to either lean in and do another bit of work, but also if you find a gap and there's nothing really you can do, take 10-15 minutes to yourself, read a book, do something you wouldn't normally be able to do. I think it's really important for us to stay motivated when we work at home, that we do really appreciate the benefits. Which takes us on to point 7, and this is the most important one of all. Be loving, compassionate, and caring to each other when you work from home. You're not having the normal one-to-one interaction. You're not being able to see each other every day. You're not being able to have that physical, social interaction we crave so much. So make sure to check in with people. Make sure to give people the extra benefit of the doubt. You don't know what circumstances they've got at home. You don't always know why they're working at home or the conditions they have to work in. Be loving, kind, and compassionate to each other. It's super important that we look out for ourselves and others, and that's going to take a whole lot of love. It's really important that we give it. I'm just going to sneak in a tiny late tip, which is as well, if you're remote working, even if you're stuck in the house, try and do some exercise, keep active, do some YouTube yoga or Pilates or aerobics, something that just gets you moving. It's really important too. I hope this really helps. I hope these tips really help you get through remote working, working for yourself at home. It's really important that we stay connected and we have loads of trust, love and compassion for each other. These tips have all really helped me when I've been working too. Please hit that subscribe button on the video. Please write any comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And until we speak again, take care.